What's up, my know-it-alls? Well, it is finally here. I don't know that I could have standed this much longer. Standed. Let's see. That's how bad it is. Things affected how I speak. Okay. So this is the finale. It's the last episode of Willow on Disney. Season 1, Episode 8. Children of the Wyrm. Let's get into this. Okay, so there's so many. I normally would give a recap of some sort, but I just need to jump right into this thing and go with you guys. Okay. Let's just go. Like I said, let's just go. So the episode starts exactly where it left off, in that we get a very interesting moment where the enemy presents themselves, the Crone. This young lad, he's legit. Oh, it's real. It's so real. Turns out, he's drank the Kool-Aid quite literally. I don't know what apparently the water is some sort of mother's milk of the worm. And by worm, that's spelled W-Y-R-M. Okay, worm. Many of you who play fantasy role-playing games, you'll understand that term. Essentially, it means a giant, some sort of a dragon or actual beast or creature. In mythology, in Old Norse mythology, the entire world is actually surrounded by one that's asleep. And part of Ragnarok is it would wake up. Anyway, so that my point is, this concept is not new. Also harkens back to the Satan in the Garden of Eden as a snake and appearing that way. Again, very traditionally in our brains. I mean, I get it. So I'm with them on this. So what you get is Kit and Elora are there, and surrounding them, by the way, are the Gales. The Gales are right behind them, but of course, Kit's goofy brother is standing in front of them, and he's so funny because he's like, no, really, it's totally cool. It's everything else. And again, we are completely still in the same realm that we have been in to this point, which is, this is a very expensive CW show. Okay. Someone handed CW producers a whole ton of money. I say someone, but obviously I mean Disney. And gave Jonathan Kasdan and all of them a whole bunch of money and said, let's go do this thing. And so her and Elora are essentially listening, and her Airk and Airk and them are just sitting there, and he's like, just come in and talk. That's literally what he's telling them, is just all you got to do is come in and have this conversation. And they're like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. Okay. So then we cut back to the party itself. Specifically, Boorman and the others are, they're standing around, and what's happening is Jade decides she's got to follow. She's got no choice, and she jumps. Oh yeah, she takes the leap. Right after her, Boorman is like, all right, well, come on, Willie. I guess we're going to go do our own thing or whatever. And Willow's leaving. Willow's like, peace, I'm out. And then Willow proceeds to tell Boorman about himself. He is loyal and courageous, and before he can even finish, Boorman's like, yeah, okay, goodbye, and jumps off the thing and whoops and hollers like it's a roller coaster. He used all the way down. He's like, woo. Anyway, not long after that, we immediately switch over back to the door, and you get to see Elora and Elora and Kit walk in. They meet, by the way, the Crone. Who's not the Crone? So you get this CW moment where you have beautiful villain's mindless brother puppet, beautiful heroine, and her beautiful heroine guardian. So somewhere in one episode, last episode, Kit has come full circle and is all in on Elora Danan. One episode prior, She was looking at her like she was the, like, why did my dad choose you? And all this and blah, blah, blah. Okay, they had a moment, I'm sure. They did. I keep rubbing my head because I'm trying to just follow along, and it's not easy. Because again, the show wants to be a lot of different things. So in essence, the crone, she does her thing. She entices the both of them. They go into the light. And when they go into the light, they each get to see something different. So Kit sees her mother. She sees Sorsha, and Sorsha is apologizing to her about the way her life has been. And Sorsha's like, no, it's really me. I'm really here. Blah blah blah. This and that. We all know that's not the case. Okay, especially when they're in this garden setting. And it looks, and Eric's like, yeah, this place is great, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And this is our wedding day, well, this blah, blah, blah. And so he takes her to go talk, Elora Dan. And so Elora is there with him. They're talking under a tree the way they used to. And he's doing all his stuff and talking to her and this and that. And he's like, I always thought your face could be enough and blah, blah, blah. But really what I need you here in my life. The whole thing. He's just going on and on and on and on. Kit decides she is not going to drink the Kool-Aid now, because they're both being offered the Kool-Aid, the pool water, whatever. But why did she make that choice? Why did Kit decide not to do that? She hears her father and has a conversation with her father. It's not the cameo that I wanted, but it's definitely the cameo I needed. And I'm down. I'm here for it. They did a really, really good job. We know how they did it. They did it with a mixture of actual Val Kilmer, his son dubbing over, also a little bit of that technology that we talked about that kind of blended the voices together and made it ultimately so that it was seamless. And it does sound seamless. Dude, he's down to Val Kilmer's pronunciation and the way Val Kilmer says things. And he convinces her that she is the shield and the sword. She is Elora Danon's shield and sword, and she is Elora Danon's protector. We'll get into that in a second. And so she does. So she goes and and eventually she goes to face the crone, and the crone is like, oh no, Elora made her choice. The choice Elora made, allegedly, because the choice she's given is to continue on forward, or she can go back. She can make things right. And by that I mean she can marry Airk before all this happened and save all the lives of the people who died to protect her. Okay, very romantic notion. Then she's sitting there in front of this giant tree in a wedding dress, blonde again, and she sees her party and her friends. So it's Kit, Jade, what's his face, Graydon, and Boorman. Okay, and they are very lifeless. Everyone's kind of lifeless, but eventually, you see when Elora is she's about to kiss Airk, and she's like, I don't think I'm into you anymore. Yes, she breaks up with him. Okay, why not? At this point, I'm just like, all right. So the anachronistic nature of the show aside, because that's the thing. At this point, because I'm in the finale, I have to sell my soul, much like the kids are being offered, in order to agree that this show is watchable. And it is watchable. It is watchable. No, it is watchable. You have to give up any desire at quality. And so I said, okay, you know what? I had to turn off my judgy brain and just watch the thing on its face. Literally, this is the point when I turned and said, you know what? I just have to do that. It's fine. Elora is essentially like, no, I can do whatever I want, blah, 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 this and that. And then she wakes up. She's telling him off, and she's about to do some stuff, and they're like, oh, that's it. You've already made this choice, this and that. Who do you think you are? Or something. And then you see a foot step down and the staff come down, and everything does kind of turn here. And I'm a sucker for these kinds of moments. I'm a role-playing kid. I grew up playing Dungeons & Dragons, running games, love it, okay? 1D&D. Hashtag 1D&D. Anyways, and you know what that means. Search it if you want. I'm not going to get into it. But it's Willow! Big bad Willow is there. Oh, by the way, did I miss the fact that everyone turned to stone? Yeah. So I'll back up for 2 seconds here before we get into the awesomeness that is Willow's grand entrance. But so everyone else got there. Boorman, Jade, Graydon, and there was this giant sandstorm thing that had a face. So the mummy was attacking them. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what it was. It just pulled stuff out of the air. And sure enough, he's like, hey guys, I'm turning into stone, and turns to stone. So back to Willow's grand entrance. Willow clearly jumped, which, by the way, you have to think about how awesome that is. For someone who is tiny, a small person, a little person, to the idea, for regular, quote-unquote, non-small people, it is, I'm 6'7", forgive me, a big person like me, it's terrifying, the idea of jumping off a waterfall. So the amount of bravery and the amount of courage that was required for Willow, who, by the way, has overcome everything. I contend that Willow is a great sorcerer because he has overcome everything that would make him not. And that's the hero's journey. And even though we are clearly on he has become a bystander in someone else's story, at the end of the day, we are still following that little Nelwyn from the movie. And I gotta admit, I'm super proud of him. I'm proud of the character that I loved overcoming the way that he has and being this guy. The guy who shows up in heroism and victory and power, who's literally like, blah blah, shaboom boom, and just kapayow, everything goes. It's very Doctor Strange. The little lightning deals go shooting out, and next thing you know, you start seeing what looks like glass in the air surrounding Elora shatter. And that's when she wakes up. And she's actually on the plinth on the pool around where they were drinking before, and she's sort of this is part of a ceremony. This was all in her head. They were trying to keep and control her to this point. So then the crone sort of everyone's there and everyone's ready and everyone's down, and Willow wakes up. Everybody turns to not stone, and they're all there to help and rescue her and whatnot. And it's very heroic, and you see the Gales are there, and they start to proceed to fight them, and so at some point or another, the crone is like, she's like, go ahead, pick up your little wand. Pick up your little wand. Let's see what you're made of. This and that. She's like, and she's like, you lack conviction. That's when Graydon picks up the wand. And Graydon's like, shaboom boom, and he points the thing forward, and it's going, and he's putting everything he has. The crone's effortlessly shielding it, but he's putting his heart and soul into it. And finally, he gives it everything he had, and he falls to his knees, and he drops the wand, and she picks it up, and she says, that was pathetic. I'm impressed because I felt that you wanted to kill me or to hurt me. And she looks at Elora and she's like, and that's what you're missing. And then she goes, but that's okay, blah, 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 this and that. And then she literally just goes and dusts him. Graydon disappears. Elora's upset, clearly. And proceeds to want to kind of, she stands up, and you see very Thor Ragnarok green lightning come from her hands. And now we finally get the payoff of the question that's been asked about a half dozen times. When is she going to start shooting lightning? Did you have to shoot lightning out of her hands? Hey, do you shoot lightning out of your hands? You know, it's not like I can shoot lightning out of my hands, and all this variation of that theme. And what happens? You see lightning crackle on her hands, and she's starting to throw bolts of energy at, what's-her-face, at the crone. And the crone's fighting her back and this and that. As everybody else is doing their thing, they're outside. Boorman stops them, Kit, and is like, here, I'm going to handle this. You guys go out there. By the way, you're going to need this. And because she even, what's-her-face, tried to tell him, like, hey, well, do your thing. What you want to do, go ahead and, put on you got to use the Chimerian Correct. He's like, no, I'm not the hero. This isn't my story. He's like, this is your story. You need to be the one to do that. And he puts it on her and hands the Lux Arcana, and he's like, you guys go ahead. And he turns around to face the last remaining Gales by himself, like a boss. Okay, I don't know about you, man, but Boorman has a special place in my heart, and I will probably either play a Boorman-like character, if not Boorman, or I will NPC a whole bunch of that style of character in the future because I love Boorman in moments like this. I've loved Boorman the whole show. Because I know that character or that guy who's played that character. So that's why. Anyway, so then you get at this really special moment. Kit and them are going to have to face all kinds of adversity and fight and the whole bit, and she's got to fight her brother. Her and Jade have to fight the brother, and so what happens? Jade's like, here, you're going to have to do this. She puts the thing on her, and then she puts the Lux Arcana in her chest, and she turns it on and activates it, and it shoots into Kit's chest, and proceeds to suddenly, she becomes Fantasy Iron Man. It's a little glowing circle in her chest, and then all this stuff, the whole bit, everything. She's got armor. And she's fighting. And amidst all oh god, it's it's kind of incredible. And so at some point or another, Elora is like, I don't know what she's hiding. And then you hear Willow in her head, and Willow says to her, you're still afraid. She's not more powerful than you. You're just afraid. And you start to get the understanding that the Crone is just another Bavmorda. The Crone is not the end enemy. The Wyrm is. The Crone is just somebody who has lasted long enough to still be the head orchestrator of things. So they're fighting, and the Crone tries to get right up on her. And of course, every time we've seen anybody get up on Elora like this, Elora ends up using magic on some level. So what happens is all the little red lightning turns green, and she proceeds to kind of push this lady back. And she's so funny when she's kind of standing up and trying to be this thing. And so what's his face turns around and sees that this is happening, and Airk, and he kind of tries to come to her rescue. And at this point, you see, it's pretty dope actually. So she's done. She's felled. She's killed. But as she's dying, she gives her power to Airk, because remember, that fool is a believer. He wasn't brainwashed. He was shown and offering a thing, and literally, there's a point when Kit says to him, please don't do this, blah, you're my brother. And he says, wrong, I'm your king. Jade is awesome. She's like, okay, yeah, this conversation's over. Now can we get back to fighting again? You're like, okay, all right, I'm here, whatever, I'm down. So then it becomes this really intense sword fight. Remember, Iron Man Kit. Also, I guess you could sort of be like she's Joan of Arc, Iron Man. Joan of Iron Man. I don't know, whatever. But they're fighting, and she ends up essentially beating him, but she doesn't want to have to kill him. And so what Willow does is he slams his staff on the ground, breaking the end of it, and gives her the green stone. And he says, okay, you need to talk to him. And if he sees the light, he will come toward it. And that's what she does. And that's what he does. And they manage to save the day. You see these really cool touching scenes of them as kids and whatnot. It's not bad. And ultimately they start to walk off toward the sunset, and they're like, she's like, what about the worm, this and that? And he's like, well, it's gonna come. It's mad. It's angry now. We've angered it. And so then as they're walking off into the sunset, Laura does a little look back, whatever. You get to see this moment where we go into the light of the worm's door again, and you see this battlefield, and on the battlefield, Graydon wakes up. Graydon wakes up, and he gets up, and he sees a future version of Elora. Shorter hair, the whole bit. She turns to him. This battlefield is covered and littered in bodies, and she literally says, I have to, in order for me to do what I'm supposed to do, I need your help. I need you to help me. And they crest the ridge, and you see this army of darkness, this army of evil monster creatures, whatever. And essentially, Graydon is about to become the new big bad. Graydon's at the beginning of a journey that's going to make him the new Crone. So they've set up the potential for a season 2 or future stories. I don't know if we're going to get a season 2 or not, especially not with Bob Iger back. And who knows? He may see Willow as just bleeding at this point. We know Kathleen Kennedy's out soon, shortly after the Indiana Jones drops. We're going to find out. I know we've heard rumors about her compensation package the whole bit. Anyway, all that being said. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. So, what's the know-it-all index for this episode? The finale. Willow, the finale. There's highs, there's lows, there's goods, there's bads. There's way more bads than goods. I'm going to give episode 8, Children of the Wyrm. I'm going to give it a 7. It gets a 7 out of 10. It wasn't a complete abysmal mess, but it wasn't good. Like it wasn't good or great, but there were enough things in it that I enjoyed myself. This gets a 7 because I enjoyed the ride. It was fun, ridiculous all day, but it was fun. And I'm willing to kind of go, okay, you know what? This has shades of role-playing adventures I've been on. And I tolerate stuff like that from my players. Why wouldn't I tolerate it from my characters? I don't know. I will treat season 2, if it gets a season 2, the way I would have treated any season 1 of any series, which is you get the first 3 episodes from me. And if you can't make the first 3 episodes make anything matter, I'm gonna stop. So we'll see what happens next season, if they even get a next season. So comment below, let me know what you guys thought of the series. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I absolutely am excited to keep doing these things and growing the channel. So again, share it around. Let's talk soon. But yeah, man, as shows go, this definitely has its CW-ish-ness. And I would like a little more Willow in the Willow show, but that's just me. Yeah, so don't forget, next week, no, we don't have any more, no more Willow, but next week, we're getting The Last of Us. So hopefully you guys are watching that show. If you've played the game or not, you should be excited for it. But we'll be doing reviews of The Last of Us week after week. It's going to be me and Mrs. Know-It-All because she's all about that show. So anything with Pedro Pascal playing essentially an angry dad protecting a kid. I know that's not the story, but you get the idea, okay? He's very Mandalorian and all these things lately. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.